Hi there, Rachel Cook here, business growth strategist for women entrepreneurs, and we are back for our weekly Facebook Live show. I was just testing because recently I have been running the show and having a few challenges with some of the technology. Isn't that a fun thing about running an online business? So it looks like our sound is good and we are ready to dive into today's topic. I am so excited that you are joining me today because today's topic is so near and dear to my heart. You know, it's so easy if you are an entrepreneur and you are in these online communities, it's so easy to get swept up in all the hype about six-figure launches and seven-figure businesses. But in all honesty, when money is the only metric of success, it's really easy to lose sight of what matters most to you. In my early 20s, when I was just coming out of my MBA program, I had a whole definition of success based on what I thought that was supposed to look like. You know, it meant getting my MBA. Check that box. It meant marrying my handsome college sweetheart. You know, check that box. It meant having a successful career and getting recruited right out of my MBA program to go into finance with a really lucrative paycheck to match. So checked all those boxes, you know, graduate degree, getting married, having the good job. But I really quickly realized that all of those things were kind of someone else's definition of success. And it didn't really leave much room for what mattered to me in my life. And that put me on a fast track towards burnout, towards unfulfillment. And I was literally on a path where I had no time for myself, for my health, for my relationships. So this is something that has taken me nearly a decade to learn. And it's a lesson I've learned the really hard way. But these days, I feel more successful than I ever did before when I'm able to work less and spend more time with my family. I'm able to volunteer for causes I care about. I'm able to take care of myself, actually making my health, my well-being, and my self-care a priority. So if this is resonating, then I think you're really going to love today's special episode of the Uncomplicate Your Business Show, because today we're going to talk about what it really means to create success on your terms. So I'm your host, Rachel Cook. I'm a business growth strategist for women entrepreneurs, and I've been coaching entrepreneurs to create more ease and less stress in their businesses for over a decade. And today, we're talking about why it's so essential to define what success means to you as an entrepreneur. So if you're just joining me on the Facebook Live, welcome. As we get ready to really dive in, I'd love to hear from you. And the question of the day is, what does success mean to you? Just share in the comments and let me know, what is that word, success? What does that bring up for you? What does that look like for you? This is one of my absolute favorite topics because as an ambitious high achiever, which I know many of you are as well, it is so easy to fall into the trap of someone else's definition of success. And in the world of business and entrepreneurship, that measure of success tends to be 100% based on the bottom line, based on how much revenue you're bringing in, how much profit you have, how much money you're making. And that's a great metric because, you know, it's a metric, we can track it, so we can see our progress, we can see how we're doing. But you know what? As heart-centered entrepreneurs, there are so many more reasons beyond the numbers, beyond the bottom line that drove us towards starting our own businesses. Freedom, philanthropy, being of service. So today, I want to share with you a 5-part process to help you create your own unique definition of success for yourself, for your family, and for your business. And I really find that having this definition of success becomes like your guiding North Star. You'll really quickly know whether or not something is aligned with what success really looks like for you. And if you know someone who you think would love the show, please just hit the share button and share it out to them. So let's dive into today's show. So if you're just joining me again, hey there, welcome to Uncomplicate Your Business, a weekly show where I share how you can keep things simple and strategic to design a successful business and life on your terms. I'm your host, Rachel Cook, business growth strategist for women entrepreneurs. And today we're talking about what it really means to create success on your terms. Success on your terms, no one else's. So let me know if this sounds familiar to you. You know, like many children of the 80s and the 90s, I was raised with a generation of girls who are now women who were told that we could grow up and have it all. We could be it all. We could go to college. We could break through those glass ceilings in corporate America. We could bring home the bacon and fry it up in the pan. We were told we could do anything. And so we did. And more women than ever before have been graduating college, getting master's degrees, becoming doctors, lawyers, professionals. We have women in incredibly powerful positions out there. We have people who are executives and leaders in nearly every single industry. And despite all of the progress that women have made in the workplace over the last few decades, it's simply not enough. You know, we're still struggling to close that wage gap. Women still do not earn as much as men. And for women of color, the gap is even greater. We're still fighting, especially here in the US, for our rights to paid maternity leave in women's healthcare. And we're very underrepresented as CEOs, as executives, as leaders in every industry and in public service in our government. So I think if you start to look at that gap, right, it starts to explain why I think more and more women are breaking free from the old paradigms of what success looked like. They're breaking free from, you know, the success track in corporate America. They're breaking free from the academic track that so many of us were put on. They're breaking free from what we were told we were supposed to do in order to be successful, in order to create their own path as an entrepreneur. And it totally makes sense to me, because if the rules of the game aren't working, if what we were raised being told that we could do anything and we could, you know, have anything isn't actually the case, we just need to change the rules, right? We need a whole new game to play. We need one where we have more control. So I really started thinking about this a few years ago when I was invited to speak at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Center for Women in Business. And after that event, I spoke for nearly 2 hours with women from all over the country who were wanting to hear more about how they could create their own version of success. And as I started talking with all of these women, it really became clear that the metric they had been mostly focused on was only the dollar bills. It was only revenue. It was only the bottom line. And I have to say, like, while this is important, this is so important if you're going to run a profitable, sustainable business. Unless you want a successful or an expensive hobby, having a successful business means a profitable business, right? It has to pay the bills. But if we're only focused on that, instead of creating a business that takes care of us, a business that loves us back, a business that allows us to create the freedom and the ease and the service that we really want, we find ourselves in this really kind of abusive relationship with a business that demands all of our time and energy, leaving us with no time to actually have a life. And I think too many entrepreneurs find themselves on this fast track to burnout. And the research kind of backs my thinking here. It shows that 80% of new businesses crash and burn within the first couple of years. So I started thinking to myself, you know, how can we set more women entrepreneurs up for more success, more long-term success? How can we shift this paradigm so that we're not burning out at the rates we're burning out, so that our businesses actually stick around long enough to make an impact, so that women can do the work we're meant to do the way that we want to show up and do it? I really think you have to define what success means to you. You have to define what success means to you. And I found in conversations with hundreds of entrepreneurs, most of us just haven't taken the time to create that definition for ourselves. So when we don't do that, we find ourselves disappointed and feeling like, is this it? Is this all there is? So clarity around your definition of success is just one of the most empowering things you can do. It can help you quickly decide if something makes sense for you in your business. It can decide whether or not you're on the right track. It can help you decide whether you should say yes or no to that new opportunity, that new idea. And it becomes a tool that really helps you to more strategically plan your business. So today, I want to help you create your own definition of success. And of course, there is a workbook. I'm going to see if I can pull up the thing here so you guys can see it. There's a workbook, because of course there's a workbook. So if you go to rachelcook.com/success, you will be able to download this workbook, and we are going to walk through these 5 key areas, because I truly believe if you take the time to define for yourself what success looks like in these 5 key areas, you will have a business and a life that really matters to you. You'll be able to feel fulfilled and make the difference that you want to make. So go ahead and grab the action guide, and then we'll dive right into these 5 areas for defining your own version of success. So the first area I always think about is your life and your lifestyle. And this might sound backwards to some people, like looking at what your life and your lifestyle is going to look like, because honestly, as women, we put everything else first. We put everyone else first. And the last thing we think about is how we want to be showing up each and every day, each and every week, each and every month, like what we want our life and lifestyle to look like. And if you don't put it first, if you don't make these things a priority, it's really hard to find space for these things that matter to you. So in thinking about your life and your lifestyle and what a successful life and lifestyle looks like for you, this is so incredibly personal. I like to start by looking at, where is your time and energy spent? Where is your time and energy spent? You can tell so much about what somebody's priorities are based on where they put their time and their energy. So ask yourself questions like, if you could plan an ideal regular day, just not like a dream vacation day, but like a regular day in the life, what would it look like? What would you be doing from the time you wake up until the time your head hits the pillow again at night? What would make that day amazing? What would make you feel like you had the best day ever? And then start stringing those days together. And what would an ideal week look like? I think this is so important to think about, because for me, an ideal day means I have some quiet time in the morning to kind of get centered and just take some quiet time for myself before everybody else in the house gets up and moving. It means I've taken time to move my body however my body wants to be moved, which usually means just a walk. It means I've had dinner with my family. It means I've taken time to read a book. It means I've taken time for myself. Over the course of a week, it might mean I have time, for a date night with my husband, or for some one-on-one time with my kids, or to call up a girlfriend or one of my sisters and have a chat. So I think these are so important, because if you don't know where you want to be spending your time and energy, you're going to have a hard time figuring out when to plug those things in at all. Your work will very easily take it over, especially if you're like me and you're just somebody who loves what they do. So you want to ask yourself, how much time do you really want to spend working? This is just as important as, asking yourself, how much time do you want to take off? Often I see entrepreneurs who literally, they wake up, the first thing they do is grab their phone and they start scrolling through their inbox or start scrolling through social media, and they never really stop working. They're just kind of always connected to their business 24/7. And it's no wonder they start to feel burned out. So ask yourself, how many hours do you actually want to work? How many hours can you give your best energy to your business? And then how much time do you want to take off? Does not just running a business does not mean you have to work 24/7. In fact, it's rare that I have a week where I'm working more than about 25 hours and I still get all of the most important things done. So think about how much time working, how much time you want to take off. Some other things I think about when it comes to life and lifestyle is, what are your top lifestyle non-negotiables? These are things that you must have in order to feel happy and fulfilled, in order to feel successful in your life. So it could be really simple things. It could be things that make me feel successful in my lifestyle is I feel successful if I'm done by the time, done with work by the time my kids get off the bus every day. It could be we have time to go on vacation a couple times a year. Whatever those non-negotiables are for you, whether they're big picture things like vacations or a certain house or car or whatever, or even small things like I feel successful if I make time to meditate every morning. Whatever it is, it can be up to you. But what just makes you feel like you're living your best life? And the final piece of this that I ask myself is, if you could upgrade 3 things in your current lifestyle in the next 90 days, not like tomorrow, suddenly you wave that wand and it's magically changed, but let's say in the next 90 days, what would you upgrade? I know for me, earlier in this year, I decided I needed to upgrade some of my self-care. So I said to myself, okay, I need to make sure that in my life and my lifestyle, I'm making time every day to get up and go on a walk. And it just took that mindset shift, that blocking it out on my model calendar, to suddenly get into that habit. And 90 days later, I pretty much hit my 10,000 steps every day. So what are some things that you want to upgrade in your life and lifestyle, where you're spending your time and your energy? The next thing that I look at is friends and family. Friends and family. This is so important to women entrepreneurs, especially because for most women, we are driven by connection and we are driven by service. We are doing this work not only to take care of ourselves and our family. We do this work because, yes, it puts food on the table. But what I hear from so many entrepreneurs is they do this because they want to give back. They want to have that feeling of connection with their community. And we have to kind of balance these things, right? So we have to make sure we're not getting so wrapped up in our businesses that we struggle to have quality time with the people who matter most to us, with our friends, our family, our loved ones. So again, we want to make sure that we have that piece in place. And we really asked ourselves, what does our relationships, if we're living our best life, if we're living our definition of success on our terms, what does that look like in terms of friends and family and our relationships? Who are your most important relationships? Like if you could list off your top 5 people who make you feel that connection, who give you the support you need, who are they? I could pretty much, my husband Jameson, Juliana, Alexander, Mitchell, and I would put my sisters there as my next 2 there. But who are the most important relationships in your life? Sit down and take some time and actually think about them. And then answer the question, what does quality time with them look like? What does that mean for you? I know for my husband, quality time looks like we actually have date nights on a regular basis. We take time to sit down together every day and just kind of snuggle and chat. For my kids, it means getting in that quality one-on-one time, taking them on little, mom and me dates, letting them kind of choose what we want to do. With my sisters, we don't see each other on a regular basis. It means setting up a regular, we call them our cousin sleepovers, so all of our kids can kind of pile in the playroom upstairs and we can have some girl talk. So what does that look like for you? And are you making time for it? Do you actually have on your calendar date nights scheduled, or time with your kids scheduled, or special family fun days scheduled? So how often do you need that time? How often do you need that time? And this varies dramatically from person to person. Some people need that time, every single day with their friends. They want to check in with their friends every single day. Some people, it's like a couple times a month is all they need. So you really have to answer that for yourself and decide, how do you want to show up for your friends, your family, and your relationships? Okay, next piece of the definition of success here, and I'd love to hear from you guys what is coming up for you as we go through this together. Now, if you've heard from me and you've gotten to know me for a while, this is an area that I have personally struggled with the most, my health and my well-being. And I realized when I hit burnout in, my corporate career, that I had to prioritize my health and well-being. If my health and well-being was not a part of my definition of success, my overachiever type A personality would literally work myself into the ground until I was back in burnout, okay? So this is the area I often put last. But having a clear picture of what successful health and well-being looks like for you and making time and space for it, it is essential to truly living success on your terms. So I want to be really clear here that success on your terms when it comes to health or well-being, especially because I know I'm talking to women, this does not have to mean like beating yourself up about being a certain size or looking a certain way. So let's just put that out there right now. This is about energy and vitality more than anything. So you might have those other goals. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about coming at it from a place of self-love and body acceptance, okay? So when it comes to health and well-being, are you satisfied with your current state of health and well-being? What does a healthy body look and feel like to you? What kind of energy do you want to have? Like if you were to tell me where your energy level is from, I can't get out of bed in the morning to I have so much energy, I would never need another cup of coffee again in my life, where do you fall there? And once you kind of have that, you can figure out, what do you need to do in order to boost that energy? What do you need to do in order to feel healthier? What do you need to do to take better care of yourself? And what kind of self-care is what you need each day, each week, each month? So for me, I'm a super introvert. A lot of my self-care looks like quiet time. A lot of my self-care looks like journaling and meditation and kind of introspection. A lot of my self-care also looks like moving my body in a way that feels good to me. I am not a gym rat. I love yoga, but I am way past the days of, super athletic yoga. That was in my 20s. These days, it's more like I love some restorative yoga because it's like grown-up nap time. So what do you need to take care of yourself and to boost your energy? What does that self-care need to look like? So some of the simplest things I started to do each day, I started asking myself, how do I need to nourish my body? So what foods give me energy? What foods drain me? I started to realize my water intake was super important. I started to realize just, making sure I was eating pretty healthily was super important. Taking my vitamins was very important, and putting some habits around that. Moving my body became as simple as, instead of punishing myself or feeling badly about myself, just going out on a walk every morning, dropping the kids off at the bus stop, and then I pop on an audiobook or a podcast and get in a walk for an hour. Those things give me energy. Taking care of my sleep. So what are you doing for your health and well-being? You do not need to put in like crazy time at the gym. You do not need to go on a crash diet. Just think about what is the simplest thing you can do to start giving yourself more energy, to start creating more energy for yourself, and then make the time and space for it. Okay. So there, I'm off my soapbox right there on the health and well-being, because it's just something that's so, so, so important to me, and I know for so many women. Another area of your definition of success is your creativity and expression. And I think this is so important because, entrepreneurs are inherently pretty creative beings. We love to learn, we love to grow, we love to try new things. And some of us are multi-passionate, so we're always finding new things that interest us, new things that we get curious about. And some of us, I'm raising my hand right here, are complete workaholics. Like we are so into what we do that we could spend all of our time and energy just doing and talking about that. But if you don't have a way to like spark that creativity and self-expression for yourself, you can burn out really quickly. And you can find yourself like just your work takes over all areas of your life. So this is all about what else interests you. What do you do for fun? What do you do for fun? I remember when someone asked me this question a few years ago, I was like, what do you do for fun? I'm running a business. I'm a mom. I'm married. Who has time for fun when you are doing all those things? And then I realized, wow, that is not what I want to model for my kids. That is not the life. That's not living my best life. So I had to really think about, what is fun for me? And my husband and I had this conversation all the time. We decided for our family motto, it was going to be freedom, fun, and abundance. And the fun piece, thank goodness I married the husband I did, because he gets that easy. That comes easily to him. He's always playing and goofing around and coming up with adventures. And it does not come as easily to me. But fun for us looks like Sunday morning hikes, going out as a family, hiking on Sunday morning, traveling. It looks like crafting with my kids. It looks like gardening. So coming up and actually thinking about what are these things that matter to you that give you some creativity and some self-expression that you have fun with. And really think about that. And beyond just things that feel like a chore. So if cooking is not fun to you, please don't pressure yourself to feel like, oh, well, this could be fun. Find something that really sparks your interest and then just naturally feels fun. It could be as simple as, I remember recently, my sister and I did one of those wine and painting classes. Like we painted a mermaid and it was so much fun, just really creative. It allowed me to kind of do two of these successful things at once. We went to a painting class and I got to spend quality time with my sister. So I absolutely love that. So when you're thinking about these interests and things that are fun for you, are there any other classes you wish you could take? Like, did you not take something in high school or college that you kind of wish you knew about now? Do you wish you could take better pictures? Do you wish you knew how to sew? Would you love to just learn something for the sake of learning it? Are there any other hobbies you wish you had? I have a friend who went back and started taking dance classes again because she realized that that was just something she loved as a kid, and somewhere along the line, becoming a grown-up, we lose those interests and those hobbies. So what are you doing just to spark that creativity and keep yourself feeling fresh and renewed on a regular basis? Okay, the final piece of my 5-part definition of success. Oh, it's a sip of water here. My final piece here is all about your personal growth and spirituality. For me, this is, again, it's about filling this kind of, if you've heard of the self-love tank, it's kind of an inspiration tank. What keeps you feeling inspired and empowered and excited to keep moving forward? So what are you doing to continue to grow yourself as a person, not just as an entrepreneur? Because if you're watching me now, I know you're growing yourself as an entrepreneur. If you're on a bunch of people's email lists, you're reading blog posts, you're following podcasts, you are growing yourself as an entrepreneur, and that's amazing. But what about other areas of personal growth and development? What about other areas of spirituality and connection that help to just grow you as a person? So ask yourself, what does that look like for you? Does that look like having a more dedicated mindfulness practice? So does that look like meditation or journaling? Does that look like attending yoga classes? Does that look like attending any other sort of mindfulness practice type of classes? Does that look like having more formal religion as part of your life? I know a lot of people, that's a big piece of it. I'm more spiritual than religious, but I have a lot of friends and family who showing up for church every single week makes them feel complete and makes them feel connected. So what makes you feel connected? What does that need to look like? You also want to ask yourself things like, what kind of quiet time do you need to feel connected to yourself? What kind of time do you need to feel connected to the universe or God or whatever you want to call it? What do you need to fill your soul each and every week? Again, whether you're spiritual or religious doesn't matter to me. It's kind of interchangeable here in the way that we're talking about it. What do you need to fill your soul and your spirit? What helps you feel that connection? And what kind of ways are you getting that? For some people, again, it could be going to church or going to synagogue or going to mosque. Where, if there's a community that you want to join and go to be a part of. For some people, it's just finding those sources through, again, podcasts and videos and books that you're reading. There's so many ways you can fill that inspiration tank. You can feel connected to something bigger than yourself. So what does that look like for you? For me, it's probably always going to be a book, which is why I usually have a huge stack on my night table, because that's what I do on a regular basis, is have my book, have my journal. There you go. That's how I stay connected to my spiritual side. So a quick recap for these little 5 areas for your own definition of success. So first, your life and your lifestyle. How do you want to be spending your time and your energy? What does your days look like? What do your weeks need to look like? Ask yourself right now, get honest with yourself. What are you missing? What are you missing, and what do you want to do in the next couple of weeks as we start to move towards a brand new year? What do you need to do in order to get in alignment with your version of a successful life and lifestyle? Next, your family and friends. Who do you want to spend time with, and what does that look like? What do you need to do to invest in those relationships? What do you need to do to make those a priority? It probably comes down to, again, for me, all of these things come down to, are you making the time? Are you putting it in the calendar? Are you calling the person and saying, hey girl, it's been a while, let's go out to dinner? Or hey sis, it's been a while, let's, go visit you guys. What do you need to do to nurture those relationships and feel successful in those relationships? Third, your health and well-being. How are you taking care of your physical self? How are you taking care of yourself? If you are a woman, chances are this is usually one of the lowest priorities on the totem pole. You don't get around to it until you're finally really, really hitting burnout. But I'm here to tell you that when you make it a priority, as in it's in your routine, it's a habit, it happens every day, then you've got this super full love tank that doesn't get depleted as easily. You have the reserves to step in there and take care of your community, to take care of your family, to take care of all the people who depend on you. Your creativity and self-expression. This is, again, an area that does not come naturally to me, but I can tell you that I come back so much more refreshed for my work when my weekends are dedicated to family fun, when my weekends are, and my evenings are put towards something creative, something that uses a different part of my brain. And finally, your personal growth and spirituality. How do you fill that inspiration tank? What makes you feel connected to something bigger than yourself? How are you growing yourself beyond just, growing those entrepreneur skill sets? What do you need in order to feel successful in that area of your life? And it could be spirituality, it could be philanthropy, it could be so many pieces, but what do you do to feel connected to something bigger than you? So I hope that starts to get you thinking about what success on your terms could really look like. And if you're not in alignment, if you realize you're going through this and feeling, okay, I'm not quite there yet, there are some things I could do to improve this, start looking for the opportunities to move towards it. It does not mean you need to, again, this is not saying, oh, my health and well-being isn't I'm not living my definition of success, so I need to go on a crash diet and craziness. No, it means, what baby steps can you take right now? A few months ago for me, when I realized that area was really low, I was not living in alignment, I said, what can I do? I can go on a walk after I drop my kids off at the bus. Cool. I'll start with 30 minutes. And over time, it builds up, and I've built up that area, and I feel so good about it. So ask yourself, what can you do to start moving towards that in a sustainable way? And if you loved today's little conversation, today's chat, then I would love to invite you to join me for an all-new challenge that I am kicking off in just a few weeks called Plan Your Best Year Ever. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. I can't wait to connect with you again for the next episode of the Uncomplicate Your Business Show. Talk to you soon. Bye.